everybody. Let's talk about this grave robbery that went down in Philadelphia. Police in Philadelphia had made a discovery that to them felt less like a crime scene and more like something out of a horror movie, which is why we're going to talk about this because this is the other side with your host ASOS, and we like to talk about spooky, kooky, ooky things, and this one is really disturbing. It might be some trigger warnings in here. I do want to preface we're going to be talking about some stuff up in here, so always do be warned. So, what was started as a routine investigation unraveled into a case that involved hundreds of stolen human remains, a basement filled with these human remains and even displays, which I have a video for you guys, which I'm hoping that I can plug it in. It's a pretty disturbing video. And a man that is now accused of one of the most disturbing cemetery crimes in recent history. So the story broke January 6th, and I was kind of seeing it a little bit all over online. People were sending it to me, and I was looking into it. So there was a quiet investigation that was going down with Philadelphia police late November 2025 because authorities were looking into a series of break-ins at the Mount Moriah Cemetery where 26 mausoleums and underground vaults had been damaged. Now, this cemetery was established in 1855 and it spans over 160 acres and it holds over 150,000 graves. It's a historic landmark and long been considered abandoned. It's still sacred though. There is a group that does take care of it. So it's not really taken care of by anybody like by the city or by like anybody other than a nonprofit who just go in there and take care of it. And I do also want to note that there are Native Americans buried in this cemetery. So not only was this person robbing graves, but they were also desecrating Native American burial ground because Native Americans were buried here. By December 20th, police had confirmed that at least 4 underground vaults had also been burglarized. Dozens of remains had been stolen. And then a tip came into them, and the authorities said that they were told that partially decomposing bodies were hanging in a man whose name was Jonathan Christ Gerlach. He's a 34-year-old and he lives in Everett, Pennsylvania. Them that was missing was named Mary Stingerman, who died in 1940. Her family's mausoleum had shown damage, but no clear signs of forced entry. By December 23rd now, police were tracking Gerlach's vehicle, phone records, and they noticed something chilling. His car was the timeline continues that on December 23rd, police were tracking Gerlach's vehicle at this point, his phone records, and they noticed something chilling in his car. It was repeatedly parked at Mount Moriah Cemetery, and surveillance had begun. The night of January 6th, around 8 p.m., officers were watching the cemetery, and that's when they saw it. Gerlach's car parked in plain view. Now, there was bones and skulls clearly visible in the back seat. Moments later, Gerlach was spotted returning to the vehicle, a crowbar in hand and a burlap sack. Now, what was inside that burlap sack? Now, inside the burlap sack was 3 children's skulls, additional bones. He was caught red-handed. He had confessed on site that he had stole at least 30 sets of human remains, but further search of his home and his storage unit that he had taken over 100. Now, authorities had also believed that jewelry was taken, as well as all of these human remains. Additionally, investigators had uncovered online activity tied to Gerlach that included a post in a group called Human Bones and Skulls Selling, and that there was people thanking him for giving them skulls and human remains and everything like that. So it was a pretty chilling, discovery. The district attorney Rossi said that detectives walked into a horror movie come to life. Police admitted that they were still trying to understand the scope of what happened, stating that given the enormity of what we're looking at and the utter lack of any reasonable explanation, it is difficult exactly to say what took place. At this current moment, Gerlach now faces over 400 charges. Now, there's a lot of discrepancy. If you guys Google this yourself, you are going to see some articles say that he has over 500 charges, 400 charges, 100 charges, but nonetheless, some of them include abuse of a corpse, receiving stolen property, desecration of public monument, desecration of a vernant object, desecration of historical burial place, burglary, trespassing, theft. He is at a $1 million bond. Now, the police do say didn't try to cover up his tracks at all, though. Like, again, he started in November, so let's make sure we understand the timeline. So he started in November doing this. He has an online presence. People were seeing things in his basement. He was leaving his car there. It was visible that there was things in there. There was cigarette butts being left. There was a lot of trash and like energy drinks and things being left behind in the area. So that's how police were able to really uncover everything. So he was very, very sloppy with this whole thing, and he also just admitted to it, like, whatever, which I think is mind-boggling. I do want to see like how the investigation plays out and what other information they can give to us, because this is developing. Like, this happened, this barely happened just recently, and we're still getting new details, every single day. Families with loved ones buried at Mount Moriah have expressed anger, heartbreak, disbelief, stating that no one should be treated this way even after death. Authorities are in the process of notifying all the families. So, it's over 100 human remains that were desecrated. They have to notify every single one. Imagine having to contact 100 people, letting them know, hey, where your family member was buried, their body was disturbed and maybe sold to somebody else. Like, that is sick. That is sick. That is disgusting. So often, stated that it's abandoned. Like I said, it's being taken care of by a nonprofit. The nonprofit is Friends of Mount Moriah. They work to preserve the 170-year-old burial ground. And I do want to note, not only were Native Americans buried there, but war veterans were also buried there. So it is, a very big deal of a cemetery. Even though, again, it's kind of abandoned, it's still a place where veterans have their remains there. A place is meant to the place is meant for peace. It's not meant to be turned into a crime scene. So it's a really disturbing case out of Pennsylvania. Like I said, everybody has been talking about this, and there's a lot of videos like online. Let me see if I can get you guys the video that they were showing of Gerlach's home, because everything is circulating online right now. All right. So hopefully you guys can see this. So this is footage of Jonathan Gerlach's storage unit, where apparently over 7 decaying bodies, 2 torsos, 20 plus skulls, and a large various bones were found. One of the torsos had a peacemaker still attached to it. Before searching, Jonathan originally said that the storage unit was personal items. Disclaimer that this is for news purposes. To raise awareness for people and victims. So yeah, you see people saying rip to the bodies, it's a heinous crime. That person's weird. What a sick individual. I'm sure families appreciate this. Imagine the smell. Yeah, there's just like a lot of comments. But yeah, that's like literally like one of the videos that like got put out. So at the end of the day, this is a very disturbing crime, and I just can't even fathom, because I know grave robbing was like a thing back in the day, but that was because people would go in there and steal people's items, like the jewelry, the coins, or whatever they were buried with, because sometimes people would be buried with things, which is why it's not recommended that you do that. Today, like, I feel like today that's not supposed to be a thing, so I'm glad that, like, right now justice is being served, and my thoughts and my prayers go out to the families and to their victims. And I just hope that everybody can like move forward from this incident, and that people can go ahead and like move on a little bit, and know that like he's been caught, their remains are going to be taken care of, and that we never have something like this happen. But this was The Other Side with your host ASOS. I hope you guys have a good one. I hope you guys stay kooky. I hope you guys stay spooky. Bye.